Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am just another tinfoil hat, and welcome to my show. Today, I thought I would do something a little bit different and offer one of my own personal experiences with the unexplained. So, also, too, for those of you who have listened to my podcast appearances, I have to apologize. This may be a rerun. So, this particular event happened about a decade ago. So, I was in my mid-teens, and my two little sisters were pretty much kids at the time. And every week or 2 weeks, I think, our mom had an old friend that she would call up on the phone. They'd talk for a couple of hours, and so my sisters and I would watch cartoons. And so one particular night, we were sitting in the living room. And the living room was set up so that the couch, of course, faced the TV, but behind the TV there was this huge picture mirror, which had come with the house. We lived in a Gothic Victorian home. And in this massive picture mirror, you could actually see into the open doorway of the staircase upstairs. You could see, the last couple of steps on the landing. So it was about half an hour into watching TV, and all of a sudden I heard our mom coming down the steps, and then I saw her actually, reflected in the mirror. She was right at the foot of the steps, and so I paused the TV show, and my little sisters looked at me like, hey man, what gives? Why'd you pause the show? And I said, well, mom's coming downstairs. And then we waited, and, probably like a minute or two went by, and she didn't come downstairs, and not gonna lie, I was a little bothered because she didn't come into the downstairs and she also didn't go back upstairs. She just was gone. But of course, I didn't want to freak out my two little sisters, so I just kind of played it off and I was like, oh, I guess she went back up. Let's start the show. So we started the show. Well, as the night wore on, as they drifted off, I started to get really bothered. Because not only did it not make sense how she just up and vanished, but also whoever was reflected in the mirror was wearing something different than I had seen my mom wearing. This woman was wearing a white nightgown. And then I realized too, the hair was wrong. It was parted in the middle and, slightly the wrong length, and it was kind of weird. And so, I waited until my mom came downstairs and I pulled her aside and I was like, I need to tell you something weird. But half an hour after you went upstairs, did you come downstairs for some reason and then go back up? And she got this weird look on her face and she was like, no, I didn't. Why do you ask? And so I said, well, I heard you on the steps and then I saw you reflected in the mirror. And then you just didn't come into the dining room, which is right next to the living room. You just weren't anywhere. And so then she got this really weird look on her face and she said that about half an hour into her conversation, she heard her bedroom door open. And so she figured it was one of us and she turned around and she was like, hey, what do you need, sweetie? And no one was there. So not only is this probably my second most dramatic paranormal encounter, but I think it's an interesting show of duality of two different concepts. Because yes, this house, it's Gothic Victorian revival. It was built in the 1860s, and there have been other unexplained occurrences here. I'm always hesitant to call anything, a haunting or something like that, because I really don't like labeling the unexplained with yet another unexplained. How can we say something's a haunting when we don't really know what a haunting is? But there have been other unexplainable occurrences. On the flip side, my mom has had, through the course of her life, more than a handful of people claim to see what I guess could be called her doppelgänger in different scenarios. So I feel like this one particular personal experience I've had really does kind of sum up two of the big questions about the paranormal. On the one hand, are there these objective things which exist that we simply don't understand? On the other hand, is there something subjective and firmly rooted in us or our subconscious or whatever, that's making these manifestations? Or is it some mixture of both of these concepts? Well, if you enjoyed this episode on one of my personal experiences with the unexplained, please like. And if you're new to this field of crop circles, go ahead and subscribe to see what weirdness the future may hold. Till then, I am Zuni Edgar, signing off.
Doing.